Hello, Livestream Legends! Welcome to a special episode of Livestream Legends. Each week, we are tackling the streaming adventure and becoming live stream legends together. And on that journey, we also discover and encounter many problems and errors and technical issues, which is what we're tackling today, is all of the most common and most frequent stream problems that happen, how to prevent them, and then more importantly, how to resolve them, especially on the spot. Sometimes you have really no other option besides rolling with it while you're live. So we're going to arm you guys with anything and everything you need to be confident in jumping into your streams. So welcome to today's episode of Livestream Legends, powered by Restream. Today's guest is an absolute beast in his realm. His support has been relentless throughout our community, and he's become the go-to. We kind of unofficially call him our chief technology officer of the community. But essentially, our guest today, Nick Lozano, to just give you a quick summary. He's a technologist, a podcaster, a streamer, and a producer. So he knows this realm well, and is also an expertise in his levels. So he's from the Washington, D.C. area, and essentially high-level governments and organizations pay him for things to not go wrong. So we are honored to have him here today. Ladies and gentlemen, fire up the chat for Nick Lozano.
Hopefully somebody clipped that intro so that I can use it wherever I go. And I'm just going to have a button, like every room I land in that just plays that, man. How you doing? Thanks for the intro, man.
Absolutely amazing. Loving it. Great to see everybody hopping in here. Hello, Teresa, Jackie, Adam, everybody else that's in here. Drop a quick little comment if you're hanging with us today. Really excited to jump into this episode and support people. I know we've been on this streaming journey, this streaming adventure, and the problems never disappear. They only shift and change. And I'm sure so many others that are on this streaming journey are discovering and encountering the same thing. So super excited to jump in here. If there was anything I missed from your intro, you're kind of a modern Renaissance man, do a little bit of everything. But feel free to fill any gaps.
So Teresa is asking me where are the glasses. So they're right here. So, I don't know how long I can wear them, but yeah, because I don't wear glasses, to see normally, and I can feel your pain, Travis. The headphones pushing on, the glasses on the back, and you just want to take them off. But at least I don't need them to see. So
it's a streamer struggle for sure. Yeah. And then you got the this lens reflection thing. That was its own little dilemma entirely. So streaming issues never end, but we are going to be getting nerdy.
Travis, diffusion, man.
Yes, that'll be a big win. So yeah, I know you have encountered tons of recurring issues, recurring problems. Is there an ideal way to approach this adventure of streaming, the potential problems we encounter, and then maybe setting up some systems or strategies to resolve those problems? I know this is pretty much your 24/7 rotating headaches, always kind of shift, but it's been phenomenal to see how much we can do with this medium and this platform. So yeah, what do you got in store for us to clean up our live stream adventures today?
Yeah, I think so. The first thing I think of, right? It's something's gonna go wrong, right? Like, it just doesn't matter how much you do this, how much you have stuff locked in. Something just goes wrong, and it doesn't matter if you're a small streamer or a large streamer. I watched Kit Boga the other day, who's, if people aren't familiar, he's the guy on Twitch. You probably seen him on YouTube. He calls scammers all day long, and he'll get upwards of like 15,000 people watching him. And I was watching him while I was working the other day, and he literally, his Go XLR was the same thing that you had before you hopped on here. It had an update, and then his audio just completely didn't work, and he had 15,000 people watching him. So like, it's gonna happen. That's what I say, and the best way to deal with it is just to kind of head it off, right? To try and work it through from the beginning. And that's what I kind of do in my day job. You know, I work in technology, so I'm kind of used to doing this stuff for a living.
Sure.
So you say. So man, I've got a quick slide presentation here.
Look at that, folks.
Let me share my screen.
You got it. Go ahead and I'll pull it up on this end. This is the beauty of Restream, folks. You can have improvised screen shares in the moment.
Let me know once you can see that.
Boom! We have a nice, brilliant little presentation. I'll switch the layout. Cool. Look at this, folks. We're going in today. Nice.
We're here, man. So, you know, it's just how to avoid these problems and fix them, right? So the first point of my presentation here, I'm just going to go over real quick things that I do to kind of avoid and head these off in real time. Cool. And then I'll just do a quick, you know, summary of, you know, what we can do to troubleshoot these real time. And then we can just go into a quick Q&A, man. I've got, you know, about 10 slides here. I'll just run through them real quick. Feel free to ask any questions. Travis is going to have to say any questions if you have them to me, because I can't see them right now because I'm looking at my slides. But,
oh, good. Yeah, no worries. Throughout this entire show, you guys, today we will obviously have the preventative and best practices here. But if you have an actual stream problem or a recurring issue, we'll attempt to do some live troubleshooting here at the end. So feel free to drop those throughout as well. But it looks like we are ready to rock and roll. Thank you, Nick. Let's get it.
And like Travis said, this is really high level because I know we're doing this with Restream. So we got people on YouTube, we got people on Twitch, Facebook, wherever else we are, and everyone's in a different part of their journey, right? Some people have fancy setups, and some people are just using Restream Studio. So we're just going to keep this at a real, you know, 10,000 foot level here. So, you know, the first thing we're going to talk about here is just avoiding problems in general. How do we avoid them? Like I said earlier, problems are going to happen, but we want to do our best to, you know, get ahead of it every way possibly we can. And the easiest way I can tell you to do that is to create a checklist, right? Pilots have done this for years and years before they get on a plane. Before they take over it as a captain, they walk through a huge amount of checklists to check everything before flight. So it's a pre-flight checklist. So I take this same approach with doing my lives. I have a checklist for every single thing that I go through. And that kind of helps me get in my zone and check everything before I go live. So create a checklist, sit down, and, you know, there's kind of three little parts to it, I think, right? First, you want to think of what do you use, right? You have cameras, you have lights, you have computers, you have an internet connection, you have batteries, right? There's all kinds of stuff depending on how fancy your stream gets set up to. You might have just as easy as I've got my webcam with my, you know, I've got my laptop with my built-in webcam and the built-in microphone, and I'm good to go. Either way, you just kind of want to take inventory of everything that you use. And then the second way I like to frame that before I create my checklist is how do I use it, right? So I'm sitting here, I've got a green screen behind me. I have lights in front of me. So I want to know that I have green screen I got to set up. I got lights that need to be on. And I have batteries that I need for those lights. I have them plugged in as well. So you just really want to sit and think through everything. How do you use it? And then from there, you want to create your checklist, right? So the example is given, if my lights run on batteries, how long do my batteries last? Do I need extra batteries? If I'm going to run a separate camera, does my webcam need to be plugged into USB port? Do I have enough USB ports? So what I like to do is sit down and create my checklist. Okay, I need my webcam. My webcam needs to be on. I need to have OBS running. I need to have my green screen up. I need to have my lights on. I need my lights plugged into a power strip. And ideally, I want to run through my checklist before I go live, about 10 to 15 minutes before I actually go live, because I want to make sure that as soon as I hit that button to go live in Restream Studio or OBS or whatever you're using, that you're ready to go. You're ready to rock and roll, right? So
Amen.
After you get your checklist right, you want to do a check, like I just said, right? And then the other thing I like to do is I like to be like Santa Claus, and I like to check it twice, because there has literally been times where I'm like, oh yeah, this light right over here in front of me, it works. I don't need to check it. And then lo and behold, I don't have batteries in it, and I don't have it plugged in, and I'm trying to go live, and that's my main key light. So I just look like I'm sitting in a horror movie before I go live, because I need that extra light fill. And then the other thing is, just iterate on it over time as you add pieces of equipment. You want to go back to your checklist and look. If you upgrade from a webcam to a mirrorless camera, you have a capture card you need to check, an ATEM, a battery for the camera. So you just want to iterate and change things as you go through over time and upgrade your equipment. And then checklist bonus, right? This is what I always say: 2 is 1 and 1 is none. A saying comes from me from the technology world. I'm sure people say it everywhere else, but basically it means if you want to look through anything that you have a critical path through, right? And find a single point of failure. So I have a webcam here that I'm talking to you guys on, but then I also have a DSLR mirrorless camera that's on the side of me that you can't see. I have it as ready to go in case something happens with my webcam. I can just switch my source, and I have a way for people to see me. So in streaming, right, Travis, the most important things are that people can hear you and that people can see you, right? So you want to make sure, possibly you have duplicate things where you can. So, I've got this fancy mic here, but, I also have a mic that's on my headset. You probably have headphones that came with some iPhone or some phone you bought with the past 10 years that has a headset mic on it. So just always kind of look through the critical paths where your biggest point of failure is, and start to try to build some type of resiliency in there.
Love it.
Am I going too fast?
It. Nope. I think people are tracking with us. Let us know how you guys are doing in the chat. If there's anything to step back towards, I see a few questions are sneaking in that we will get to. Brilliant questions. Keep them coming. Cool. Welcome, Jamie, for jumping in. Scott hanging out with us over on Facebook. Appreciate you, brother. James and Enrique have joined the party. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
And I see my wife on there, Nicole. She's my personal live stream guru.
Yes, for all of us. He's the same for all of us, Nicole. Brilliant. Yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling, man. Here, we get through these slides real quick, right? And then we get through the whole thing. How do you fix problems in real time? This is probably the thing that stresses everybody out, right? You're live and then something happens. It's not quite, in my experience, it's not quite as bad when you're streaming by yourself. It's much more worse when you have a guest and the guest can't hear you, or you can't hear the guest, and you're trying to do tech support with them at the same time. So this is just kind of my couple things here, right? So the first thing I always want to do is just breathe, right? Take a breath for a second. Like I said earlier, issues happen. And you just kind of want to calm your nerves for a second, just so that you can think clearly. Just anytime that you're super stressing out, you don't think clearly. At least I don't. So I just want to take that moment to collect my breath. And like I said, it happens to all of us at some point. I even watched Kit Boga the other day. 15,000 people on his stream, and he couldn't hear his audio. He had to restart his computer. So don't feel like it's the end of the world, right? It happens to everybody.
Speaking of my headphones, are about to die. I'm going for a battery switch real quick. Keep it
you
rolling.
go for it.
But I'm going to be gone
chat
for
going.
a sec.
I'll keep chat going. Yeah. So then the second thing is when something goes wrong, you want to kind of notify your audience that it's happening. The nature of live streaming is that it's live, right? We're not recording videos and editing it in Adobe Premiere. This is stuff that's happening real time. So what I have found through my live streaming, journey is that most of the time the audience will try to help you troubleshoot problems that you have. They'll let you know if your audio is too quiet or you're too low or they can't hear a guest. So if you can kind of keep an eye on that chat, a lot of times chat is there to help you out a ton. Then the second thing is you want to identify what is happening. What in general is happening, right? So maybe we're hearing some crazy audio situation. I can hear Travis, but the chat can't hear them. So just kind of stop for a second and, think about what is actually happening. Is it video? Is it lighting? Then the same thing, go back to your checklist. That checklist that you had, maybe you're like me and you forgot to check something. You forgot to turn something on. You didn't plug something into the wall. Sometimes just doing a quick once over through your checklist is a good way to figure out what's going wrong. And then, like I said earlier, it's not the end of the world if something goes wrong. It's live streaming video, man. Stuff happens. I lose my internet. I had, Luke Matthews, who everyone on Twitch and LinkedIn kind of knows him. I was hosting him and Jill for a while, and at a certain point, something happened to my restream, and the feed just ended, and we were just talking to ourselves for about a good 10 minutes. So, I mean, things just happen, and it's not the end of the world. Like I said, a lot of times people who consume live video content most of the time are used to seeing it. You're not going to wind up doing something that nobody's ever seen, so don't feel bad about it. It's not the end of the world.
True. No, I've seen the same. It is a way more forgiving environment compared to static content or permanent content.
Exactly.
That's just
no
kind
one's
of pre-recorded, posted.
Watch a video of you trying to troubleshoot why your sound isn't working, in your LinkedIn feed, right?
Oh, love it.
And then it brings us to my last step, right, is document any issues that you ran into. It's easy if you stream for hours on end to forget about something that happened earlier. But I just like to make a mental note real quick that like, hey, I lost audio here. I need to look into something, especially when I've got this fancy like software mixer set up. And sometimes if, specific things don't match, it does weird things to audio, makes it crackly and gurgled sound. And if I forget about that, I forget to go back and check my code. So I always like to keep a notebook handy. You can use an iPad or something, or a pen, or maybe just a notepad or notes on your computer and just type down what happened. So that way you can then go back and figure out, is it something you can avoid? Did you not plug something in? Is it a single point of failure? Do you only have one microphone and no way to connect your audio again? It will help you go a long way to troubleshooting things down in the future. And with that, that's all I have for slides, man.
Boom.
I like to keep
that
it
last
really light, man.
piece is pro. I have not used... I pretty much just addressed the problem and then hope it's gone forever after that. So this last piece is brilliant.
Called like a Remarkable tablet, and I can write on it physically. It's a really cool thing, and I normally have it sitting right around here with me when I'm live streaming, so that I can just write down anything that I need to write down. But that will take you far. It's just writing down all your problems, and then maybe you'll see that there's an underlying issue to something. Like maybe you have a problem with your audio clipping, then maybe you should check your levels because it's always happening, right? Or too much gain.
Yeah, no, it not only helps with obviously the diagnosis, but that piece of preventative maintenance. Same way as healthcare, same way as any other problem. The best way is to not have the problem in the first place. So having these preventative measures in place are so key. We have been utilizing the checklist strategy. Was brilliant to see. That's something we're integrating into our producers checklist, producers camp thing that we're putting together. But these additional pieces are really brilliant. So thank you so much, Nick, for bringing this expertise to our world, simplifying it into words we actually understand. I know a lot of techies can can get excited about this and they just go way off the deep end. But I think a lot of people here are still hanging with us, it looks like. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the Q&A, and I see we did have some brilliant questions dropped throughout, but what we'd also like to open the table to is if you're dealing with any stream issues literally like right now, we might be able to help you troubleshoot, or some people here in the chat or in the community. So yeah, without further ado, let me go question hunting.
Go question
I believe
hunting.
Gabe had asked, what is the best
I'm afraid.
way to... It's actually a real question, I think. A few of them.
Okay.
He did throw a few troll questions in there, but essentially he was asking, what's the best way to deal with poor internet connection, either that's just a low bandwidth and low upload speed from the start, or possibly if your internet is crapping out during the stream. What type of options do we have to prevent this from happening? I know one of the things I've learned from Restream was understanding your maximum upload rate and bit rates was one of the key things I learned there. But what else can we consider? Let's do a little bit of an internet speed prevention and optimization.
I can do this. I helped
setup.
you do this exact same thing.
Yes.
That's a great question, because as we stream, especially if we're doing an OBS setup where it's completely custom, which for people who aren't familiar, that's open broadcast software or something. I can't remember what the S stands for, and you got a little more leeway in that. But I would say the first thing that you want to check is your internet speed, right? And so go to speedtest.net or type in Google, do speed test, and figure out what your upload speed is. Most people have decent download speed. It's always the upload speed that's going to be the issue, right? So if you have 2 megabytes up, 1 megabyte up, you're not going to be streaming in 1080. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And to be fair, most people don't need to stream in 1080 anyways with 60 frames per second. Like, you can probably get away with 720 at 30 frames per second and still have it look super crisp. So I would say the first thing you do is the speed test, right? If you have decent speed, I see Luke in there, I'm screwed. If you have decent speed and you've already set your upload speeds to what you can, I'd say the other thing to do is find out if you're using the modem provided by your cable provider. The first thing you probably want to do is get rid of that thing. You don't want that thing.
I had to do that.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can put your cable modem into something called bridge mode, or you can just plug in your own modem in front of it. You need to make sure your IP ranges, which are just the numbers it gives out, need to be separate. And you can do that as one way to try to solve your problem. Sometimes the modems that your cable companies give you or telcos, they're not that great. It's probably been used. They don't like to replace them. You pay a rental fee for them. Just get rid of them anyways, if you can. Yeah, see, Luke said he bought the best modem he could. Then the other thing you want to check is what's called your DNS, which is your domain name services. So that's basically a phone book lookup, right? When you type in google.com, the DNS resolves that to some digit of numbers and sends you there. And if you're using, like your internet service provider's DNS, a lot of times it's not the fastest. So you could try using Google's, or you could use Cloudflare's DNS, or OpenDNS. There's a bunch of them. Verizon has a public one that they can, and it all kind of depends on where you are in the world to which one's the fastest. But there are internet websites you can look up and test ping rates back to different DNS providers. So Luke, can I just pay to have you UK holiday? So I would say start there, start at your internet connection, find your speed. What is it? Then start adjusting your bandwidth from there, how much you want to stream out. Is it 720? Is it 1080? And then start checking your DNS and your equipment. That's the way I would do it.
Ace.
Did I go too
Ace.
techy?
A little.
Okay.
We may have started losing them there at the end. But anybody that is curious about this, all of the stuff above, I see Jackie was mentioning the checklist. I know there's so many things in this adventure. So what you guys may have been hearing is something that Nick and I have been putting together. Is basically a live stream production master camp class with like a boot camp as well, so that you can go through this whole process. So let us know if you are interested. Drop a quick yes in the chat if you're interested. We'll share checklists. We'll follow up with you. Anybody that's interested in getting all of the resources and checklists and everything for that journey, just drop a quick yes and or something in all caps so I can see it. And I'll come back through here and make sure you guys are hooked up and connected. I won't do it in real time.
We'll do a more in-depth like internet tutorial, like how to do this stuff. I could probably do a whole live stream just on how to figure out which DNS is the best one to use. So we will do stuff like that totally within this to make it easier to understand, so you don't have to go down a YouTube rabbit hole of trying to figure everything out yourself.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll make sure you guys are armed and dangerous for that. Feel free to drop questions in here. How do you clean chocolate off your keyboards? Gabe, that sounds like a personal problem, not much of a streaming issue. So good luck with that one, bro. Let's get to a real.
Are you making chocolate live on stream? Is that why you have chocolate on your keyboard?
Yeah, I don't want to ask.
The best way to clean chocolate off your keyboard is to never get it on there in the first place, Gabe. So
true. Preventative maintenance here. This is what we're talking about, folks. So now we do have a real question. How do you work through your guest having bad audio? This is something I know bugs coming from the music producer world or audio world. This one definitely irritates me. But I would be curious, what preventative things do we have options in front of us? And then what resolutions do we have in place for controlling guest audio on their end?
Okay, so I'll say this because I've been podcasting for about 5 years prior to live streaming. It's a crapshoot with guests and audio. I've seen people come to be guests on my podcast and they have the nicest like Yeti microphone and they put the headphones on and they don't know how to adjust the input and they just wind up using the input from the laptop. Or they stand in the corner of a room with just the echo. I feel like the best thing you can probably do to prevent that is just to educate your guest. The way I've done that in the past is at the time I was using something called Squadcast to record my podcast, and they had a whole like 90-second video that was on how to come on and record right. You should be this close to your mic. Pick a room that doesn't echo. Make sure you have natural lighting. So I think the best way really to solve it is education, right? It should be in a smaller segment where a guest can spend like 90 seconds just figuring it out, and use tools that they're familiar with too. I've also found, so when I live stream and I bring on a guest, I use Zoom, and it's not because it's the best, it's because I have found that people just know how to use Zoom. Yeah. And you don't have to help them troubleshoot how to connect their mic or which mic they're using or how they're hearing audio. So if you can use tools that they're familiar with, that are easy enough to use, then I feel like that's another way to do it. And then the more advanced way is once you're using OBS, maybe you can put the guest audio in through a mixer and you can put compression on it, a noise gate. You can kind of shape that audio before you send it to OBS. That's probably the best way to deal with it, but that's also the most advanced way you could possibly do it.
Love it. Love it. No, this is brilliant.
Don't judge my echoey room.
No, this is amazing to hear. A lot of this, I think one of the key things you can do again on that and that preventative category is just arming them as the best they can, having either yourself or whoever your producer is for the show, making sure the guest is properly set up the best you can with a tech test before the show. And then there is a little bit of technical details that may skew to your favor here. One of which is multi-track recordings. So this is something that can save you in post-production if audio isn't great or there's some errors or mix-ups during the interview. having multi-track audio is something that you can separate your guest's audio, Nick's audio, my audio, and even if there's separate audio playing, stuff like Restream Studio and other tools enable multi-track recordings. So when the episode is done and you go to convert and publish it as a podcast, now rather than all of the audio being merged as one, you have that separate control of each track. So you can balance levels, remove noise, or dog barks are usually my guilty audio dilemma over here. But that multi-track recording, which is now a new feature in Restream Studio, is a big win for anybody curious. And I see Kevin
and anyone
dropped.
who's super advanced, you can actually do multi-track recording too with Voice Meter. That we'll go over that. That's too much detail for here, but yeah. There's ways around it too.
Yep, there is brilliant virtual tools. So a lot of us are familiar with physical tools to mix and switch your audio. But if you guys are curious about the virtual versions of that, it's a bottomless pit of what exactly you can do with all of that audio routing.
So Jake Shirk is saying you can multi-track in Zoom too.
Brilliant. Yep. No, the multi-track audio and multi-track video is also a game changer too when it's used right. But that'll help you a lot if you need to do stuff after the show, after the recording. During it isn't going to give you a whole lot other than
sometimes it just is what
remedies.
It is, man. Yeah. That's the best I can say. Sometimes it just is what it is.
Love it. So yeah, feel free to sneak in your comments. I see the comments are getting difficult to keep up with. So I'm trying to, if we missed a question, please drop it again, so that I can regain
Luke's got a
sanity.
great question I just saw came up on the top. It says, how do you test your audio? And I think that's a good question. So Luke, I know your setup is Voice Meter Banana, which is a software. The easiest way you can test it is to record the output using the tape player function in that to see what the audio levels are like and play it back. The more advanced way too is to look at the meter to see what the volume level actually is. Is it hitting negative 10 decibels? Are you going over on your decibels? If you understand how to read a decibel meter, you don't need to record it and play it back. You can just kind of see it real time. But the easiest way I would say to test anything like that is try to record it in a one-off session somewhere. If you're a live streamer, you don't have a way to record it locally. Connect, if you're on Restream, connect another channel that you don't use, maybe Twitch or YouTube, wherever your audience is, and just test stream to that and play it back and see what the audio sounds like. That's the easiest way to get your finger on, what it should sound like. And what things sound like are subjective. Like what I think sounds good, Travis might not think sounds good. So just realize that as you're listening to stuff, it's subjective to each person.
Brilliant. No, these are ace tips. The visual element is what I most often use because thankfully I'm acclimated to it. We did have a prior episode of Livestream Legends all about audio options, mixing audio, and then a critical piece of that was relative levels, relative sound levels. That was one of the issues we had with you, Luke, was the relative sound levels of something being way louder versus way quieter. Completely exclusive of quality issues, the volume alone, you can really get a pro level if you have those in the right type of balance to one another. So feel free to scope out that prior episode to master all of the audio balancing and everything in that realm. And then one of the other things you can do that isn't recording it and then listening to it, what I do to make sure that I'm monitoring the exact same thing that the stream hears. So the trade-off of that is I hear my own voice in these headphones.
Yeah, it throws people off in the beginning.
But it's a little weird, but it's my favorite strategy because I know what I'm hearing is the exact same thing the stream is hearing. So with all of the audio routing tools you have, like Voicemeeter, or in my case, I use an Go XLR, you can route your headphones or whatever you're using to monitor the show or listen to be the exact same audio as what's going to the stream. And for me, that helps me know when the music's way too loud or when I'm way too quiet. Moments like that are pretty much in tune because I'm hearing the exact same thing. So that's an alternative way to sort of test. I guess that's more monitoring rather than testing. But it does help you make sure you're on the same page as your audience.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, monitoring is just a fancy way of saying listening to what something sounds like. So you monitor your headphones, you can monitor it from speakers. That's just a term from the music world. Yeah.
Boom. Getting a little bit out of the tech world, but it's relevant here for the open Q&A because this is a recurring pain point of stream life and content creators. How do you stay safe from copyright strikes with your audio?
So I'm going to say, so music is the thing that everybody wants, right? And it's the hardest thing to figure out. My advice always to people is just use Stream Beats. It was created by a Twitch streamer. Well, I guess he's a YouTube streamer now, Harris Heller, who is a professional musician. So just look up Stream Beats and you can use that music. And he has actually submitted all of that to YouTube. He submitted it to Facebook. He's submitted it to Twitch. You won't get a copyright strike on it. You can download it. You can play it through Spotify. You can play it through YouTube Music, I think. You just want to be really careful with what you use. Even some things that show up as royalty free, you can still get a copyright strike on it, depending on, you know, if you get ad revenue from Twitch, maybe you're not authorized to do that. So my recommendation is always just to use Stream Beats because we know that you're not going to get flagged for anything with that.
Brilliant. Yep, that is top of my list as well. They have genre-based playlists, so you can essentially set the vibe. And alternatively, there are a few record labels that are catching on to this dilemma, and they are now making entire playlists and archives of their library that are DMCA friendly, copyright friendly. So just go ahead and type that into any search that you're looking for. I know Anjuna Beats, as well as Insomniac Music, if you want a wider array of options and tracks. There is a lot of options that are starting to open up in that category. So,
and obviously, if you're a DJ or something like that, it's even more of a gray area. Like I know if you're a DJ and you're on Twitch, you can play it because you're technically performing, but it will blank out the audio. Out of the stream, but just be aware
After
that you
it's
have
recorded.
to physically be performing it. Like you have to physically be mixing the audio somehow. If you don't do that, you're going to get a copyright strike. But that's just the one caveat. I don't know if there's any DJs in here, and if there are, they probably already know that.
Yeah. No, that was brilliant. Thank you, Drew. I know that is a critical dilemma a lot of people are struggling with. How do I host a poll on Twitch? Nice.
You got to be an affiliate, Luke, or else it doesn't work.
Oh, we just got to get you to 50 followers.
So you need 50. You need 50 followers. You got to hit that affiliate link, and then you can do polls. Until then, you can't unless it's changed. Maybe someone in chat can correct, but I'm pretty sure you have to be an affiliate for that.
So, in a similar dilemma of what Drew was asking, Kevin is curious, now that we know the music to select and what we are allowed to play on stream, how do we actually get that backing audio or any type of second audio source into a stream?
So this is one of those things where, you know, there's tons of ways to make minestrone soup, as many ways as there is Italian grandmothers, right? Yeah. So basically what you need is so if you stream using, you know, Restream Studio or one of the other providers, can I say the other name, Travis? I don't know, but if you use one of the other ones, people know what they are.
Yeah.
You connect through a web browser and you have to put a mic, right? And you're like, well, I've just got this one mic here. How can I put music through that? That's where either using a physical mixer, like you have the Goal XLR and routing music through that, or using something like Voicemeeter Banana and taking your mic and an output out can solve that for you. There's different ways to do it, and I'm not sure we can describe how to do it in just one live stream. We could probably spend 2 hours just trying to explain how to do that.
Brilliant. No, that's the sum mix. That's essentially what I'm doing currently when I jump into those is the same way I had a merged audio going to my headphones. You can set that same merged audio to be your single mic input here. So in the super simple browser studios, that merged audio into one track is going to work great. The screen share, I know when I was first trying to figure that out, I used the Restream Studio screen share, and you can just pull up a playlist. And this was before I had any of the mixer stuff to figure it out. So if you don't have a virtual mixer or a physical mixer set up quite yet, you can use the screen share feature and make sure that you're sharing the audio from that. And then you can basically have that screen share active and then just maximize your own face or camera or whatever so that the audio is going in the background, and you essentially have your backing music in a kind of janky way, but it works.
Yeah. Oh, Sultan, thanks for dropping that link. The software thing is Voicemeeter Banana. That is free. There's a bit of a learning curve to using it. It's very music oriented. If you know how to work a mixer, you can probably look at it and figure it out. But if you don't, you might need to spend some time on YouTube figuring it out.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it. So yeah, we have successfully made it through the show technically. But if anybody wants to sneak in some final questions or troubleshooting while we have Nick here with us, feel free to drop them in the comments as I briefly scroll through here to see if anybody has got some final questions. Thank you, Triton, for joining us over on YouTube. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for hanging.
All right. What was Drew asking? Oh, the DJs. So the only exception is, I mean, you have the same exception when you're when it's on your live stream, but the VODs or the videos on demand, the recordings aren't going to be usable for anything. So if you have any type of micro content you want to use it for, not a great call to play that music. Or if you want to rely on people using the archived videos. So like if you're a YouTuber, it's probably not a great call to do it. But on Twitch, a lot of the Twitch DJs, as Nick was mentioning, their primary focus is that full hour that's during that live stream. So when it's taken down on the recorded video after, they're not expecting people to go watch the show after. So it's kind of like an improv set. Like it's just there. if you're there for the live and then after it's gone, like it's gone. There's no more.
So I would add, if you're a
recordings.
Twitch live streamer and you stream to Twitch, and you use Twitch's, was it Studio, their OBS equivalent? They have something called Twitch Soundtrack with tracks that are already approved to play through Twitch. And one of the cool things it does is it plays the audio live in feed to Twitch, but then it takes away the music on the video on demand. So if you can then download it later and upload it to your YouTube channel, but there won't be any music on it, but you know, that's fine. It still gives you another way to redistribute content without worrying about that. So that is another option if you're solely just a Twitch streamer and want to upload your archives to YouTube.
Brilliant. I see Triton said
something. I can't scroll this chat,
I see that he said he asked something, but I don't see the actual question.
Redrop your question so we can answer it for you.
yeah, if anybody wants to sneak in here, we are going to be heading off in a moment, but just figured we would use this while we got Nick here with us to utilize his expertise and hopefully be able to troubleshoot in real time whatever you guys are dealing with, any streaming issues that you're currently having, or large goals or tasks you're trying to accomplish, like people were asking essentially like how do you get your music set up? If you have any questions like that, we'll try to figure it out.
Kevin's asking a question here. It says, would you recommend being a Twitch streamer, or thoughts on platform?
Ooh.
I think it all depends on your content, your audience. There, Triton, there's his question right there. He redropped it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, well, let's go ahead. Let's tap into this since we cracked it open.
Yeah.
So yeah, platform-based, I think as Nick was alluding to, this is going to be heavily reliant upon your stream style. That was actually the opening episode of this season, was discovering and finding your stream style. Exactly what type of streamer or stream experience do you want to build? Very powerful to figure that out, and then that can basically be the anchor point for what is the appropriate platform for you. Obviously, entertainment, music, gaming based stuff does very well on Twitch. And I know many of us here are on LinkedIn, which is more of a professional business platform, but we're discovering the entertainment and some of the more casual stuff actually is doing quite well on LinkedIn as well. So there is no one answer. I would just say be mindful of where your audience appreciates the stream experience the most. I
agree. And do you want to get Tryon's question there? He re-asked
Indeed, it's
that.
right under.
Yeah. Says, I had issues with Voicemeeter and use NDI for audio only. Do you think that is a good idea? NDI audio works really well. So my whole thing is Voicemeeter does work extremely well, and the guy who codes it is extremely smart. The one thing you want to check with any type of digital audio is that the sample rates all match. If you're getting crackling or noise back in Voicemeeter, a lot of times either it's your sample rate is a mismatch, so you're doing 441 and one's 4800, or you need to adjust the drivers that you're using. So there's a WDM driver, there's a KS driver. So you're going to want to mix with all those audio settings. One of the easiest things I always find to do is, if you're using Voicemeeter, you're hearing cracking, is reset it, Voicemeeter, back to default settings. You want to make sure that that buffer is not super high for Voicemeeter, and that all your sample rates match, and that you have all the best drivers that you can get for all your devices. So that's what I would say. It's a one-by-one troubleshoot. So first, make sure all your sample rates right on all your devices. Reset Voicemeeter to default settings, and then mess with the driver types that you're using on your devices. So if you hear crackling on your mic and it's WDM, then maybe try the KS driver, or try one of the other ones. Same thing. It's going to be troubleshooting one or two till you find the setup that works good for you. Hopefully that answers your question.
Boom, baby. Clip it. There, we got a tutorial right there. NDI Voicemeeter audio. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, Triton, for joining us. Yes, you can actually stream on LinkedIn. It's been amazing to see how people are utilizing it. But if you are on LinkedIn, join the party over there. It's cool to see people jumping into live.
And I saw a question from LinkedIn user. I couldn't see.
That is Jamie.
There you go. You pulled up
over that Jamie over on LinkedIn snuck this one in, asking about cameras. We've tackled a lot of audio issues today, but understanding your camera, I think a lot of people are realizing this is another piece of the equation that is not nearly as difficult as it used to be, with like HDMI cables and capture cards and DSLRs and all this stuff. And actually, you can just use super simple stuff. Webcams have gotten ridiculously good, and even our phones, the cameras
Yep.
on our phones have gotten like, I have an like super old phone and it's still really good camera. So I'm sure the ones nowadays with like 4 lenses and
Well, they
all
better.
that
They're
crap
like
on them
$1,000.
better be
They're like
good.
$1,000 US. They better be good cameras.
So yeah, let's tackle the video dilemma. What's the bare minimum we need, and what's really the recommended higher end option?
So I would say the first thing you probably want to do before you upgrade your camera is just to buy a set of cheap lights on Amazon. You're going to be surprised how much further lights are going to take you than any camera. If you go out and buy the fanciest, was it Sony Alpha A7, whatever version they're on, you go out and spend $2,000 on a camera. If you don't have it lit very well, it's still not going to look that great. So I would say the first thing to do is invest in some LED lighting. Like that's what I have here. It was maybe a couple $100. You can get lights that are even cheaper than that. So work on your lighting situation first before you upgrade your camera, because you're still going to need lights when you get the better camera. That's what I would say. Maybe Travis has a different suggestion. And then for higher end cameras, I mean, we're talking Canon people, Nikon people. It's like just pick one. It's like they're all good. It doesn't really matter. It's just a matter of choice and what your budget is.
Yeah, nope. I would duplicate almost all of that. The lighting was a big win for my world. I'm still figuring that out, kind of doing some of the photography, videography research, but I had just bought like, Amazon LED lights, like no big brand name or huge like production studio set of lighting. Like it's a pretty plain, boring light up there that, I don't know, nothing super fancy, but it made a dramatic difference using the same webcam. So I'm curious to see what those nice 1080p upgrades are gonna look like in the future. But for now, there is some really good gear that isn't very difficult to obtain. So keep just leveling up and upgrading. That's like the discovery I've had of assuming you just needed a finish line and a final setup and you're good to go. Totally not how this works. It's one little upgrade at a time. From background to lighting to tech problems. It's slow iterations, and that's what I'm hoping we're emphasizing on this journey as we share these streams each week, of sharing the streaming journey together and really just continuously leveling up. So excellent advice here. Appreciate everybody that's hopping in. I believe we got one more. Oh, that's just a comment, I think. So yeah, phone cams are great, and you can apparently use them in all kinds of different contexts. So appreciate it, Triton. All right, folks, I think we are out.
I think you have one
live
last question there.
support.
Drew asked what webcams each of you are using.
Oh,
I'm using the Logitech Brio. Drew on manual settings, so I have autofocus off and I have my white balance set manually. I have a bit of photography background, so I know how to set all that stuff. But if you don't know, basically, if you get a webcam, get any of them and turn autofocus off, and control the lighting yourself. That's what I would say. I don't know what Travis has. But
I'm taking notes here as I go turn my autofocus off. I'm on a plain Logitech, I think 920, and I have done nothing special with it at all. I just plugged it in, and I'm using it as is. I know the actual drivers for the camera itself are very powerful to adjust contrast and brightness and all that stuff. But no, I think mine was like not even like, it was like $100 or something or less on Amazon. So not quite to that super 4K 1080 level quite yet, but that's next on my list this summer. We'll be leveling up, and I'll share episodes about that, how we can all level up and have fancy DLSRs and everything in our
Hey, I've got
setup.
them up here. I just don't use them. I literally have them right here above me. But yeah,
Love it. All right, folks. Well, I believe that is the end of the line. Oh, wait. One more quick little one from Captain Loca. Welcome. How to connect the chat app overlay with Twitch Studio. Interesting. Now, this is one of those, there's probably multiple ways to get to the finish line.
I would say the easiest
your...
way. I would say the easiest way. Okay, so you're a Twitch streamer. Either use Streamlabs, OBS, and set up a Twitch chat overlay through them, get one of the themes, or do one through Stream Elements. And then what you do is you just put that in Twitch Studio as a browser source, and you throw that overlay on there. Just find a theme that you like, that they have, and do it that way. And you can buy themes of chat overlays at like Nerd or Die or Owned 3D, a couple other places that either connect to Stream Elements or Streamlabs. Either one of those, that's probably the easiest way to get your chat in and have it more designed to look instead of just having plain text go up and down.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think I've seen many of those, especially for the Twitch only chats. And one of the brilliant ones for the multi-streaming, which was honestly one of the first reasons I was pulled towards the Restream element, was having that merged chat from multiple platforms can really be a game changer. So there's always the option to use Restream chat the same way as those apps. Or if you're set up on Restream Studio, you can essentially use your OBS feed as a camera source. So you can pull that in as an RTMP, and then we can drop, or you can drop this chat overlay, which is embedded into the Restream Studio side, which you can just use as an overlay on your thing. So that's a path of less resistance, but it sounds like I see you're already mentioning OBS and stuff. So you might be pretty well versed in that realm. But,
and I've seen people utilize Restream Studio and OBS where they do the virtual cam out of OBS into Restream. So they leverage some of the simplicity and pulling the comments on.
Yes, I'm excited.
I've seen people even do that too, which is kind of a cool way, to kind of leverage both.
Totally. Yep, that is the next upgrade I'm wanting to set up, to be able to double dip, have Twitch alerts and all the fancy stuff, and then also have the ability to pull this chat overlay and the highlight questions is really the...
And try to ask it. Do we have time for one more question? Because he asked a good question since we talked about cameras.
We technically have an entire another hour, but we'll use these last 3 minutes. Let's see. Triton dropped
It was about webcams and the settings.
Oh, there it is.
In OBS.
Cam settings.
Because I think a lot of people struggle with this. Okay. So this is a great question, because if you mess with your settings inside of OBS, it only remembers that inside of OBS. And when you reset OBS, the settings are gone. The easiest way to do this is if you have a Logitech web camera, which I'm sure most streamers have, is Logitech has an app called the G Hub or something like that. They have a specific app. You can actually adjust all those settings inside of that app, and then your camera will remember those settings because it will reapply them. And then you can even set different modes like you want. Like, let's say you're a League of Legends streamer and you do a different look and feel for that, as opposed to, you're just chatting stream. You can set different looks and feels and apply those to your webcam real time. So just look it up. It's like Logitech G Hub or something like that. I can't remember what it's called specifically. G Hub. Yeah. So try and G Hub and Capture. Yeah. That's what the two I would use to kind of set your camera. Not quite as much Capture, but G Hub.
Ace.
There we go. Did I get that in time? Okay.
There it is. No, we are good to go. Thank you, everybody that joined us for this stream. As we mentioned earlier, Nick and I are actually putting together a masterclass combined with a boot camp so that you can essentially learn all of these hurdles of media production, knock them over, get all the tech and hardware stuff set up so that you can go from what the hell is this stuff to a confident launch in your first show, your first stream. So if you are interested in that, we'd love to support your journey. Reach out to us individually or drop a capital YES in the chat right now, and I'll come to this moment and I'll hunt you guys down and follow up any information for y'all. But for now, thank you, Nick. I appreciate you so much for sharing your intel.
Thank you for having me on.
Your knowledge here with the community. It's been amazing to have you parallel on this journey as we're all figuring out this live stream adventure 1 week at a time. But appreciate you so much, man.
You got it. And if anyone's looking for me, I'm Ronin Janitor on Twitch _, or I'm Nick-Lozano on LinkedIn. Just shoot me a message or reach out to Travis and he'll get a hold of me if you're looking for me specifically.
Indeed. Perfect. No, the Ronin Janitor is quite fitting because this man cleans up all of our problems, tech problems in so many brilliant ways. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the line. Thank you for joining another episode of Livestream Legends. Glad to have you here, and we hope to catch you next week. We'll be going over how to utilize the recorded stream feature, how you can play recorded streams and utilize it as a live stream on your platforms. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining, and we'll catch you next week. Take care.